We're the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Study reveals uneven state protections leave LGBTQ seniors vulnerable in long-term care, forcing difficult choices between safety, dignity, and care.
Supreme Court ruling shields therapists' speech, allowing conversion therapy discussions with minors. This has alarmed LGBTQ advocates across South Florida and nationwide.
Pornhub report shows transgender content demand rising globally, led by Emma Rose, with baby boomers driving viewership in the U.S. and beyond.
A new event is coming to South Florida, and it's going to transform your concept of film festivals.
Brisbane debuts world's largest trans pride flag, blending celebration and protest amid ongoing backlash against youth gender-affirming care restrictions. All this important LGBTQ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Wednesday, April 1st. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ plus television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Brian Bender. Brian is a true South Florida local. He is an educator, community leader, and a strong voice in education, history, and public policy. He teaches in Broward County Public Schools, holds a bachelor's and master's degree in education, and a postgraduate degree in leadership, and serves on the Fort Lauderdale Education Advisory Board. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you so much for having me, gentlemen. I'm so excited to be here again at the round table to discuss all the weekly hot news, events, and all the stuff we can dish on live TV, and all the stuff we can't, we'll talk about when the cameras turn off.
Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, my younger brother, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
Happy to be here. Happy to be back from New Orleans, where I had a good time. They had a lot of veggie po' boys. And in spite of what you might think, I am not John Hayden.
No.
Is that why they call you not John?
That's why.
Is that why they call me not Greg?
That's why.
Makes sense.
Let's welcome anchor John Hayden. A journalist for 31 years, he now focuses on hyper-local reporting covering LGBTQ plus issues. Wilton Manors, Lauderdale by the Sea, Fort Lauderdale, and Oakland Park. You can see all his reports at Greater Wilton Manors on YouTube and Facebook, as well as in the New Pelican, Outclick, Out South Florida, and once again, Queer News Tonight. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back here with you guys. Each of you, I just love so much. This is so much fun. It's Lauderdale Tropical Bear Week this week. This is the March issue of Outclick, but it has all the lineup, and I've got some stories on it at Greater Wilton Manors. I interviewed Chuck King. We talk about horse meat disco. It's a real thing. Check it out. And I'll be heading out to all those events this week. We've got Bear Donna coming to Gray Box Theater, I believe tomorrow on Thursday for Bear Cabaret. And why it's not called Bear Cabaret, I don't know. But Chuck, we're going to fix it for next year.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Vaughn Biggs. Vaughn is a force in the LGBTQ plus community as well as HIV justice, using his skills as a national speaker, writer, and passionate HIV empowerment advocate. He pushes back against stigma and complacency with unapologetic truth. Vaughn is the Community Engagement Coordinator for Holy Cross Health, Executive Committee member for the National HIV Aging Advocacy Network, and a founding board member of Trans Ed. Welcome to the show, Vaughn.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with all three of you again. It's like this, this is a repeat. We've done this before.
Yeah.
But not often enough.
And, obviously we have a lot of laughter, so that's a good thing.
It is.
Right. I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up health. Aging while queer leaves many older adults unprotected in long-term care. A new study published in February in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association is sounding the alarm about what happens to LGBTQ plus people as they age and need assisted living or nursing care. The researchers reviewed all existing United States laws that explicitly protected queer residents in long-term care settings. What they found was deeply uneven. According to the study, protections vary widely across states, with inconsistencies in definitions, staff training, oversight, and enforcement. The authors write that these differences create, quote, significant gaps, end quote, in safety and dignity for LGBTQ older adults. In plain language, where you live can determine how protected you are. The study explains that many facilities lack required training on sexual orientation and gender identity, leaving residents vulnerable to discrimination, mistreatment, or pressure to hide who they are in order to receive care. The authors emphasize that even where protections exist on paper, enforcement is often weak, making policies difficult to rely on when problems arise. That matters here in Florida. Florida is home to one of the largest populations of queer adults over the age of 50. As more people age into long-term care, inconsistent protections mean too many are forced to choose between care and dignity. We talk about the aging community all the time at this table. We are in a state where the majority of the people are over the age of 50, and it is becoming more and more difficult for people even just to live in their own homes. And you think about people in our aging communities that might be forced into nursing care or facility or even independent living, or and the people, if they're not trained to take care of individuals, and we already see that happens already in our state. Yeah. Imagine what's going to happen when they get into those health systems. So just Absolutely. They're raising the alarm already, which.
And it's frightening because a lot of people who are older now and who are now 50 to 65, who are going to be 65 to 80 in a few years, they don't have families. Having kids wasn't really a thing for LGBTQ for that particular age demographic. Yeah. So as the only person at this table under the age of 50 and well under the age of 50, I know it's a problem, and I am preparing for it.
Well, I don't want to step on your toes, but I do want to say this. I was reading a study or listening to it. I don't read too much. I listen to a lot of studies, actually. And after a certain point, I believe people over the age of 60, men in particular, don't have even a close friend Meaning that if you're going to be aging, and you're going to be aging while gay or queer or non-conforming in whatever way it is that it speaks to your soul, to be put in an assisted living care facility with nobody advocating for you, having no friends, no family. It's just the way our culture is set up, is that we lose friends as we age. And then a lot of men, as they get older, stop getting out there, putting themselves out there, making new friends. So you don't even have somebody on the outside of that assisted care facility looking out for you. And that's got to be very scary. And I think it's so sad that depending on where you live determines what kind of access to affirmative care. And I don't even mean that gender wise. I just mean affirmative, that you're okay. Nobody's trying to change you. You know, we love you just the way that you are. Let's, you know, have a coffee and chat about the good old days with a nurse or something. You know, that might not happen for a lot of people if you're living in places like Central Florida, North Florida, even places in South Florida where there's, you know, a heavy religious component happening. If your care facility is run by, you know, a faith service that is not affirming to you, you're shit out of luck, and I feel horrible about that. So
just to say something about what you said, actually that generation you're talking about a lot, and I know this because my husband had a son when I first met him, and so I was very much aware of that generation. Many of them were married and then came out later.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And so there are people of that generation who do have kids, and from what I could see, have good relationships with those kids. But, you know, it's not something we like to talk about, this whole aging thing. And it is part of aging, and something every LGBTQ person should prepare for, even if they're still young and healthy. Do the research, have a plan in place, including friends and family members, people who can advocate on your behalf if you are in one of those kinds of settings.
Absolutely. I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up the USA View. Supreme Court blocks state conversion therapy bans, citing free speech in an 8-1 landmark ruling. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that states cannot ban conversion therapy for minors. It has restricted what licensed therapists can discuss with their clients by issuing an 8-1 decision that significantly reshapes the enforcement of such laws nationwide. Writing for the majority, Justice Neil Gorsuch said, quote, "The First Amendment stands as a shield against any effort to enforce orthodoxy in thought or speech in this country," end quote. Concluding that states cannot use licensing rules to limit conversations between therapists and clients. The case Childs versus Salazar was brought by Colorado-based therapist Kaylee Childs. She argued that she should be allowed to provide faith-based counseling to minors seeking to reduce same-sex attraction or align their identities with religious beliefs. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued the lone dissent. This ruling is widely viewed as a victory for the Trump administration. The decision applies only to talk therapy, leaving states free to regulate medical interventions such as hormones or surgery. It follows a 2025 ruling upholding state restrictions on certain gender-affirming treatment for minors. The Washington Post reports that Childs claims she does not want to convert queer youngsters, but help them reduce apparently unwanted attractions. In court filings, Childs stated her clients, quote, "believe their faith and their relationship with God supersede romantic attractions, and that God determines their identity according to what He has revealed in the Bible, rather than their attractions or perceptions determining their identity," end quote. Responding to the decision, GLAAD President Sarah Kate Ellis said, quote, "The court once again prioritized malice over best medicine practice." How horrible. I think that it's really repugnant that the Supreme Court would say this. I do understand, being that I am a person that does teach the Constitution to adolescents, I do understand the argument by Neil Gorsuch saying that, you know, you cannot use licensing rules to compel speech. I do have to say, though, if you're going to be talking to minors about, some kind of a sky god up there, and I don't say that, I know it sounds like I'm coming across as being flippant or disrespectful toward religion, but they can use anything that they want to justify slavery, to justify polygamy, to justify beating women, to justify whatever it is, whatever type of violence you want to justify, you can find it in any of the holy books, most of the holy books in the Western tradition. What Neil Gorsuch is saying is that we cannot allow people who are licensed, we cannot give them restrictions on what they could say by fact that they have a license and they could talk about whatever it is that they want. It didn't go so far as to say that you can do physical torture or anything like that, but if a client is saying that they are having unwanted sexual attraction, I guess what the court is saying is that your therapist can try to talk you out of that predicament that you find yourself in from a faith-based perspective. I don't think that is the realm of a medical professional, a therapy professional. I think if you want to talk about that, talk to your pastor about that. Talk to your prayer director. Talk to your, the sister at the convent, if that's really the way that you want to go with it. But if you're a licensed individual talking to people about their mental health, I don't believe that the two should be joined together in that way. And I think that there should be a strict code of ethics as to what can be discussed and what can't. And if the DSM manual says that homosexuality is not a mental illness, not a mental disorder or disease, then there's nothing to talk about from a professional. You want to talk to a faith-based counselor? Talk to them. But if you are going to be talking to people from a medical perspective, you need to keep it within the realm of a medical doctrine.
This is basically Supreme Court sanctioned grooming, by the way.
Ooh.
That's grooming.
Ooh.
We don't groom.
Ooh.
They groom. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, I will pick up where you left off, and I'll be condescending towards religion.
Please.
That is that is a specialty. Jesus effing Christ. Minors are not looking to be talked out of unwanted attractions. You know who wants them talked out?
Parents.
Their parents. And you know what? The kids are going to want to go because the option is going to be torture at home or put out onto the street. Now, so Florida can now talk kids out of trying to be gay and ban treatments such as conversion therapy. This is just two sides of a terrible coin. One bright light in this is a couple weeks ago, we sat at this table and we talked about Greg Abbott, the Attorney General of Texas, sending a memo to doctors saying that talk therapy about trans kids is also illegal and they could lose their license. So theoretically, unless they're a bunch of hypocrites, the Supreme Court would let that door swing both ways and therapists in Texas will be allowed to talk about trans issues with trans kids. But on the whole, this is just wretched.
Wretched, I tell you.
It's just more poison oozing out of the Project 2025 playbook. Disgusting. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up gay culture. Pornhub data shows older users lead in trans content viewership across U.S. and global markets. Pornhub has released its annual analytics for Transgender Day of Visibility 2026, revealing new insights into global and U.S. viewership trends for transgender adult content. According to the data, transgender performers continue to see strong engagement despite a challenging political climate marked by ongoing anti-LGBTQ+ legislation since President Trump's inauguration in 2024. Several performers also reached significant milestones, with Emma Rose ranking as the most viewed trans performer for the second consecutive year. Eva Maxim, Ariel Demure, and Daisy Taylor followed closely behind. In the United States, Alaska ranked as the top state for viewership of transgender adult content, with Louisiana, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Vermont completing the top 5. Globally, Italy held the #1 position for the second year in a row, followed by Uruguay, the United Kingdom, Brazil, and Puerto Rico. The report also highlights age-based trends showing that baby boomers account for the highest consumption of transgender content on the platform. I got another Pornhub story. So on the subject though, does anyone have access to Russell Vogt or Pete Hegseth's Pornhub search histories?
Don't want it.
I'm asking for a friend of me.
Well, I just want to say this, with Transgender Day of Visibility, TDOV, it's a very important day of the year. I was not able to participate this year. I was out of town, but in years prior, I have. I love the fact that, people are getting off however they want to get off in their, in their bedrooms, in their homes, whatever they're doing on their phones in the bathrooms, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Pornhub had to make TDOV into, who's searching up transgendered porn, I think it further stigmatizes the transgendered community.
Okay.
And I think that it's great to know that there's a lot of people that love transgendered people out there and they're getting off on it and they like it. And, as long as they're not hurting anybody, more power to them. I just think it's a little ick, to have that equated with TDOV, when there is so much work that has gone into having transgendered rights. They're constantly being rolled back or being threatened to be rolled back, and then, having a porn company come out and say, but look how popular these transgendered porn stars are. Okay, great, they exist. They need to make their money. Make that coin, honey. I love it. I just don't know that I love the framing of it around Transgender Day of Visibility.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't work for Pornhub, but I'm taking offers. I think that their heart or whatever other organ was in the right place. I really do. I don't think this was meant as a slam. It's like, what can we do? We can put out our data.
Right.
That said, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island can confirm they get freaky up in the Northeast.
And Alaska.
Ooh.
But I guess what is there to really do in Alaska,
Right. God bless them. They're just happy to have Wi-Fi and connection.
Sarah Palin says, we get all the big magazines, like y'all get down there, whatever. She said, we get everything you get. I read everything. And I guess they read everything in Alaska, which good for them. They should enjoy it.
They can read?
They only go on those things for the articles. I hear that there are some, the pictures with the articles, but anyway, more power to them. Enjoy what you enjoy, as long as you're not going out there getting off on transgendered people and then going out and gay bashing or going out and trans bashing.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem. I mean, I see a problem with trans bashing. I don't see a problem with enjoying that content. If that's what you're into, good for you. Everybody should find what they like. Well, I just feel that there's probably in that data somewhere wrapped up in there. If you disaggregate it, I bet a lot of the haters are the ones watching it and enjoying it as well. So maybe the service that Pornhub did was letting people know that, hey, you might want to marginalize these people, but they're very popular. So especially amongst the haters. So
Hey everyone, I'm John Hayden, and let's queer up trans rights. A new film festival is coming to South Florida, and it's unlike anything we've seen before. Yesterday was Trans Day of Visibility, or TDOV. There was a great event and celebration at the Pride Center in Wilton Manors, with powerful stories and performances. But Trans Day of Visibility is just that, a single day. Now, a new project aims to take trans visibility to new heights. Hey everyone, John Hayden outside Stonewall Museum in Fort Lauderdale, where I've got all the deets on the newest film festival heading our way.
The excitement was palpable at the announcement of the Trans on Film Film Festival at the Stonewall Museum in Fort Lauderdale.
We decided to do a film festival dedicated to trans humans globally, filmmakers all around the world, and that includes writing, producing, directing, lighting, staging, sounds, hair, makeup, and we want to promote these amazing artists.
Dana Davis and co-founder Candace Kane will spend the next few months seeking out talent and productions to showcase when Trans on Film opens next March.
Things are changing.
It's one step forward, 10 steps back.
things are getting scary.
Kane and Davis's production company, Marriott's Mary Productions, have already produced high-quality pieces ranging from the somber to the satirical.
TransGuard, for a girl on the go, even when she has to go.
For transgender people, visibility is not just about being noticed. It's about being recognized. It's about being humanized. And sometimes it's just about survival.
Fellow activists Francesca D'Amore and Raji Narayan Singh shared their unique views on why trans on film is an important next step.
It's just so important to me that our stories are documented, because every one of us were born for a reason.
So now the hard work begins, finding the creatives, the writers, the hairstylists, the makeup artists, the art directors, the lighting. A lot goes into a film, even a short. So I cannot wait to see what our creative community can come up with. At the Art Serve building in Fort Lauderdale, I'm John Hayden. That was John Hayden. It was. That was a really fun event. It was last Friday, so it didn't overlap with T-Dove, but it was able to work in conjunction with it. And this is all about opportunity. This is about finding people who can't get their foot in the door. And so I can't wait to see what they're able to pull together. And I look forward to doing stories about this over the next year.
I can't wait to be there. I want to see what this is all about, and it's starting next March at the film festival.
Yes.
Very good. Well, we have a little time, and I want to see everything that they have on offer. It sounds great, and I know a lot of those ladies in the video, and I can't wait to see them on the silver screen.
Yeah, and Candace and Dana are just, they are forces.
Hilarious.
They are, together they are a force. So yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
A great team and a great concept.
Yeah. And hats off to the Stonewall Museum for hosting it, right? It's what a great way to start that is through that organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if Danica the mannequin will be there.
I didn't get her into the story, but yes, Danica the mannequin will be in attendance, can confirm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up trans rights. Brisbane unveils world's largest trans flag amid healthcare policy backlash on Visibility Day. Brisbane marked International Transgender Day of Visibility with the unveiling of the world's largest transgender pride flag measuring 800 square meters at Davies Park on March 31st. The 40 by 20 meter flag was created by local advocacy group Trans Justice Menging during community sewing workshops over the past month.
I'm Jody Hall, I'm from Trans Justice Meanjin, and we have made the world's largest trans flag. It is a 20 by 40 metre symbol of trans love and joy, but also our defiance and resistance. And we've made it today to demand that the Queensland Government immediately reinstate gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth, and the federal government commit to a nationally consistent trans-led plan for trans health.
More than 30 volunteers contributed to assembling the massive display, which organizers say represents both celebration and protest. Group member Jody Hall described the installation as, quote, a physical symbol of trans love and joy and trans defiance and resistance, end quote. The unveiling comes amid ongoing backlash to Queensland government restrictions on gender-affirming care for transgender youth. A January 28, 2025 directive introduced a ban on puberty blockers and hormone therapies for new patients under age 18. The policy has faced legal challenges and public protests, with a brief court reversal later reinstated. The government has confirmed the pause will remain until 2031. You know, I think this continues to show visibility is everything. And what a massive flag to be visible. Let's do it, Wilton Manors.
Yeah.
Well, we do have our rainbow bridge, thank goodness. We have a really cruddy rainbow, whatever you call it, on the beach right now that people do crazy stuff on with their cars, but it hasn't been taken down as of yet. I believe, from what I heard, it is going to be going to court, you know, for us to be able to keep our public street art. And if we do get to keep our public street art, I hope they redo it, because I think it could look a whole lot nicer than it looks now. Because really, in South Florida, what are we really fighting over other than just the idea of us being able to have a rainbow flag? But that rainbow flag is not much to talk about or to look at. So hopefully, if we do get to keep it, which knock on wood we do, let's make it as fabulous, or maybe not quite as fabulous as Australia, but let's try to come closer than what we have now. So.
Yeah, you know, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but this reminds me of the AIDS quilt.
Yes.
When it was fully assembled the last time on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And Wilton Manor's rainbow flag. We used to have a mile-long rainbow flag that took up 4 lanes, the entire width of Wilton Drive.
Before my time. When was this?
This was like probably 10 or so years ago. They used to bring it out every year during Stonewall Parade.
Okay.
And so this kind of reminds me of that. And you know what? Seeing it for the first time in this video gave me tingles. Like it gave me tingles and a little bit of hope.
Where were your tingles?
That view
Tell you
from
later.
above was quite amazing. And I was thinking about at Stonewall 25 in 1994 being part of that march.
Oh,
and there was a massive rainbow flag that was just unbelievable.
Awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
It's really great. And you had to get a lot of people together to sew that together.
And to carry it.
And all the work that it takes. And I wonder who's going to store it. Who has a big enough storage unit to be able to, like, when that gets folded up?
Well, it's Brisbane, or not, is that where it was? Brisbane, Australia. They're right on the verge of the outback. They've got a lot of storage space.
Okay.
They got a lot of storage space.
Well, if any of our viewers want to sponsor a trip for me to go to Brisbane to find out exactly how large the continent is and how large certain things can be there, please, bscottbender@gmail.com. Thank you.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up HIV and health. Chicago hosts Biomedical HIV Prevention Summit. A major national gathering focused on HIV prevention is set for April 8th to the 10th, 2026 in Chicago. As the National Minority AIDS Council, otherwise known as NMAC, hosts its 10th Biomedical HIV Prevention Summit, launched in 2016, the summit advances PrEP access for communities most impacted by HIV and remains the nation's only convening event dedicated to translating complex scientific discoveries into effective healthcare delivery. Marking its 10th year, the summit expands to its focus to a syndemic, whole-person approach, integrating the broader clinical and public health workforce. The 2026 theme, the syndemic approach, strengthening the HIV and public health workforce, highlights collaboration across clinical and community sectors to improve outcomes in communities most affected by HIV and broader health disparities. I get to be lucky, and I will be presenting the discussion on white coats in the community, how a physician-led outreach reinforces trust, equity, and engagement in HIV prevention at the summit on April 9th at 4:15. I'm really excited about this. I was asked what topic I would want to present, and obviously what we've done with Holy Cross Health and with Dr. Sievers out of the clinic in Wilton Manors. And, we talk about the white coat syndrome, how people get nervous about that, right?
Blood pressure goes through the roof.
So the idea is bringing a doctor in the community at community events and things like that humanizes our doctors. They're not in the white coats anymore, and it makes it easier for patients when they come into the clinics. So that's kind of what the talk's about.
Well, they're lucky to have you as a presenter.
Yeah.
They love the way they worked the Chicago flag and logo. Nice work.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just my ADHD, but what does syndemic mean? Was that explained? Well,
syndemic is looking at the whole approach.
But does syndemic stand for syndrome? I'm just not 100% sure what the syndemic mean. I know.
Google it.
I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna do that with the old Google machine.
You still have one of those?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I do.
What I really like about this, aside from the fact that you're going to be presenting at it, and that's awesome, is that it also seems to reinforce cultural competency, so that even if you have a straight doctor, they can learn and be able to treat their LGBTQ patients.
Right.
Because I think that's half the battle sometimes for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a great way. This is the 4th conference I've been to with them. And they also do the one at the USHA in the fall. So NMAC runs both of those programs. One's for treatment, one's for prevention. And so it really gets the idea of getting those communities together and getting the newest information out there and learning from other communities what's working and not working in those communities.
I love my straight doctor. I tell him all about my escapades and he goes, Brian, more power to you. I love that for you. And I say, I love that for me too. So anyway, let's hear it for straight doctors. So LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up sports. Olympic champion Caster Semenya says Olympic sex testing is disrespectful for women. Two-time Olympic champion Caster Semenya is criticizing the International Olympic Committee's new eligibility rules requiring sex testing for women athletes. Speaking in Cape Town, she called the policy a, quote, disrespect for women. The IOC announced on March 26 that athletes must undergo a one-time gene test, with those carrying the SRY gene deemed ineligible for women's events. The rule will begin at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Non-binary athlete Nikki Hiltz also criticized the policy, writing, quote, everyone is hurt by transphobia. Well, you know, everyone is hurt by transphobia because transphobia, as well as homophobia, is really a phobia toward women. It's a hatred toward women. Anything that puts a person in the category of woman, you know, in our, hate to say it, sorry, I'm in Florida right now, but anybody that in the patriarchy, if you are not part of that patriarchy, you are, it's open season. So I just want to say I'm sorry for the athletes that have to go through that. And, you know, what are we going to do? You know, there are some people that have, you know, some women that have naturally high testosterone. There's some men that have naturally high estrogen. I mean, I don't have a very deep voice. I mean, I have had my levels tested. It's just my voice. I actually have very high testosterone. So if anybody was wondering, I do.
Yeah, Semenya is one of those examples that you mentioned.
Exactly.
The high testosterone.
Yeah.
Smash the patriarchy.
Smash the patriarchy. I shouldn't be saying that, but well, I should, but I shouldn't on the air. So anyway,
I'm very disappointed in the IOC for going in this direction. That is, it's pathetic and it's pandering.
You have another P word? Pathetic, pandering, and
pissing me off.
Pissing you off.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up sports. Chicago Bulls waive Jaden Ivey after Pride Month comment controversy. The Chicago Bulls have waived guard Jaden Ivey after he posted videos criticizing the NBA's Pride Month celebrations, calling them unrighteousness. The team announced the decision Monday, shortly after the video circulated online, saying the conduct was detrimental to the team. The 24-year-old had recently joined Chicago following trades from Detroit and Minnesota because nobody wants him. You know what's unrighteous? Trying to bring your tired ignorance to Chicago where that stupid shit isn't tolerated. And as Robin asked LV in Annie Hall, quote, what is so fascinating about a group of pituitary cases trying to stuff the ball through a hoop?
Right.
End quote.
Right. Well, you know, in our country, we do have freedom of speech, and a lot of these haters want to say, I'm being canceled, I'm being this, I'm being that. The Constitution, the very first amendment of the Constitution states that you do have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. You have all that good stuff, and we love it, and we take it for granted. Maybe we don't all take it for granted just because of the times that we're living in. But it doesn't insulate you from what happens with your peers and with the people that employ you. What the First Amendment does for people is it protects you from government overreach, or it used to. There's many examples where we could say that it hasn't been working that way. But in a perfect world, or in a world pre-8 years ago, it was supposed to protect you from the government knocking on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, please come with me because of something that you posted, something that you said. But it doesn't insulate jerks and assholes like this gentleman. I don't even want to call him a gentleman, this unrighteous fool who plays with balls and hoops and stuff like that. If you're going to call something unrighteous, you better be prepared for that pushback. And the pushback is that teams like Minnesota, what was the other team?
Detroit.
Detroit, yes. So it doesn't mean that they have to do business with you anymore. It doesn't mean they have to pay you. It doesn't mean you're going to be the face of their organization anymore. So I just want to make that really clear. We do have a First Amendment right to free speech. You don't have a First Amendment right to not having any consequences from the people that transact with you.
Yeah. Okay. Clearly, this is not going to be 1 minute news, and settle down because I've got something to say. Okay. As we come up on Easter, the time when Jesus came out of the cave. Hey, and hey, closets are just the new cave, right?
Okay.
This guy apparently is like, he puts the freak in Jesus freak. He has done, and just 4 years ago, he was the number 5 draft pick in the NBA. Greg, that means he was a very sought after player. So people wanted him. So apparently in the locker rooms during, when reporters are there and they're doing their post-game interviews and questions, he would question the reporters like, did you fornicate before marriage?
So
the hell? He has been traded several times. This is not the first time he has gone off like this. If you watch the video, it's like a 45-minute rambling, Jesus loves me. And the thing that's sort of scary about him is if you watch it, and watch it for like a minute. Don't commit to the whole thing.
I don't want brain rot.
No, you will get brain rot from this. Okay. But the thing that's scary is that he is not fire and brimstone. He's not even at my level of agitation. He's just calmly spewing his hate, talking about how he's been persecuted and he's being persecuted. And it's always the persecutors that claim they're being persecuted. Get off the cross. We need the wood.
I have the world's smallest violin. I'm so sorry that you're being persecuted. I could point to you 10 people in my life that are being persecuted right now for real things because they're gay or because they have a contrary view, not because of something that you've made up because you've created this narrative to be the victim. And I can't believe he's saying to people, did you fornicate?
Oh yeah.
Obviously he's got some kind of an obsessive thought pattern there. And I think it's centered around repressed sexuality, sex, and perhaps he's a member of the community and just doesn't want to admit it.
Well, he does like playing with balls.
He does. You know what? You took my punchline.
Yeah, sorry.
You took my punchline.
Nope.
It's okay.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the worldview. Scotland could become first country to end HIV transmission by 2030. The Scottish government committed in 2020 to ending new HIV cases within a decade. And by 2030, Scotland could become the first country to ever end new HIV transmissions. Today in Scotland, about 400 people remain undiagnosed, and up to 1,400 diagnosed individuals are not getting care. Treatment organizations say tools like rapid testing and treatment and PrEP make the goal achievable. They warn that urgent government action is needed to meet the goal, which is only like 4 years away. Daniel Flusky, director of policy at National AIDS Trust, says, quote, "We need action to support people to live well with HIV and to end HIV-related stigma." Scotland is not the largest country in Europe, but it's certainly not small. And the idea that if they have 1,400 people not getting treatment and 400 undiagnosed, that's a really small number and makes the goal of 2030, ending new transmissions, very achievable. It's always those last few ones, though, that you've got to go in and find. But humanity has done it before, and I would love to see, and I love that Scotland is leading the way on this.
I'd like to know what some of their enforcement mechanisms are. Call me a little skeptical. I'm all for vaccination. I'm not one of those, tinfoil people. I don't believe in conspiracy. Some conspiracy theories are real, though, actually. But I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. But I do have to say, you're going to try to prevent new HIV cases, but what happens if somebody takes a vacation in Scotland who's HIV positive? Is everybody going to have to be tested before they enter into Scotland? I just feel that there's going to be a new layer of surveillance, which I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing because the goal is admirable that they want to end transmission. My only question is what safeguards are going to be put in place for people, who are traveling there or who want to live their lives and don't want to have to, I'd hate to use this word, but subject themselves to maybe government testing before or after they leave Scotland.
HIV used to be, you couldn't travel to another country if you were HIV positive.
I understand.
With today's science, obviously undetectable can allow that. But we do have other countries that are reaching close to zero transmissions. I mean, I know Australia has gotten very close, but what I'm seeing from what I've seen in the data is those countries are very good about PrEP awareness in the communities and their healthcare systems. Providing it. So that's the difference. You think about some of these countries, it's part of their everyday normal nature of discussing HIV and STIs. It's part of their everyday care, where sometimes we don't get to that.
Right. Well, if this is actually achievable, I can almost forgive Scotland for being the birthplace of Donald Jackass Trump's Mother Mary.
Oh gosh, Mother Mary.
Okay. LGBTQ 1 minute breaking news. Google Maps to add the long way route to avoid your ex's street. In a move hailed as the greatest advancement in queer safety since the invention of the carabiner, Google has announced a new revolutionary navigation feature, the X Blocker filter. Starting today, April 1st, users can toggle a safety first setting to ensure they never have to make awkward eye contact at a red light again. The queer community has responded with overwhelming support. A local lesbian responded to the news saying, quote, "Finally, technology that understands my needs," end quote. Users are warned that if they try to disable the feature while feeling vulnerable at 2 a.m., the app will lock itself and play Celine Dion's All By Myself until they go to sleep. April Fools, everybody. But I have to say, I'm 100% behind the concept. Okay, will you guys join me? All by myself.
I think you're doing try by yourself. All by
Don't want to be all by myself anymore.
So brave.
If I see my ex in a car next to me, I'm just going to give him a dirty look, the same one I did when I walked out the door that very last time, and I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but he's going to know it because my eyes are going to give it right away. So I hope I see you because I got some things that I want to convey to you. So I don't need to be, I don't need to go the long way around. So cash me outside, as the kids say.
Well, all my exes are speed bumps, so I drive over them anyway.
And by the way, the kids that say cash me outside are now like 25 and 30.
Well, I'm almost 40, so it was the kids in my day.
Back in my day, Shani, that's what the kids would say.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We also thank the generous support of Jets Pizza.
Ooh.
Jets is the LGBTQ community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza, Jets Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world, and that includes Antarctica and all of its penguins, telling these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Vaughn Biggs, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Brian Bender, Gregg Shapiro, and John Hayden. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a good night.
Good night.